Hello, my comrades, and welcome back. So in my previous video, I started this kind of 3-chapter lecture, so to speak, around getting prepared, ready, and then going to work for an American IT company. And in the second video, as I promised, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the actual interview process. And as you already know from my previous video, you really should be ready for that process. It's not something you just dive into, that you jump, because it's really a stressful and challenging endeavor for everyone, not just for you as a, let's call, foreigner, right, or somebody who doesn't speak English natively. But it's an environment that is stressful for everyone. I've been there, a lot of my friends have, and it is a challenging, tough place to be. So I'm gonna prepare you for this from the very start, right? I want you to be ready, I want you to be excited about it, and I want you to have that energy which originates from the actual genuine understanding that you desire this, that you are ready for this, that you want this to happen in your life. If that's the case, and I talked about it in my first video, then you have the foundation to get set. And today I'll talk to you about just that, getting ready for the interview process. That is all about preparation. The preparation for the interview is probably one of the key milestones in your life, because it really includes the assessment of your own skills, right? The self-assessment. It includes the evaluation of a company, the assessment and evaluation of the actual company you're applying to. Those are all very tough cognitive skills to use in such a challenging, as I mentioned for the third, fourth time I'm using this word, in a very complex environment of you being kind of on the forefront of delivering your message and also analyzing theirs, right? So being able to kind of do both of these things at the same time, it's like, going on a date, you're kind of trying to bring the best out of yourself, but you're also kind of trying to understand and get the cues for that person's behavior and their strengths, right? And weaknesses. And it's a very, very tough process, but it is necessary in this case, because you might be interviewing somebody you're going to be spending your entire life with, not going to be saying about the company, but a big portion of your life is going to be spent working for these guys, and you better get your cues right. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. It requires a lot of patience, a lot of analytics, and some good old business English, right? Things that I talk about in my every single video, and to every everyone who asks me to support them in this very, very stressful time in their lives. So I want to start with that. You need your own story, right? You need to actually have prepared a speech, right? A quick and concise way to depict your story, right? Your personal story that paints your strengths, your weaknesses as well. And it's actually useful to think about the second, the latter, right? The weaknesses, because you really want to have a complete overview of both positive and constructive, I'm not calling it negative, constructive side, things that you could improve. After 2020, we all know that the screenings are done online mainly, right? So these initial talks are all going to be just like this over your webcam and Zoom. So be sure to prep a nice background for your calls, right? Just something that is just to think about as the very basics, right? So something to prepare you for this kind of first impression. There's no second chance in making first impression, right? So think about your camera setup, your internet speed, your surroundings, right? Your background. I found that a bookshelf or a minimalist wall in a well-lit room, possibly some carefully arranged pictures, maybe your diploma, stylish decor if you happen to have it, or if you happen to have an opportunity to be in a place with a pretty background, right, with a nice background. All of this creates a decent professional picture for the interviewer, for somebody who is just seeing you for the first time. It shows that you've at least done your job for a year now, since 2020, to prepare yourself and your kind of surroundings for to set yourself for success, right, for a successful call. After the initial interview, or sometimes even during the actual introductory call, you may be asked to do some tests, especially if you are a developer. Write some quick tests to check your coding skills and so on. Nothing you should be shocked by, except one thing. Your interview is going to be in English, business English to be specific. And to avoid being kind of stressed out, I suggest that you prepare a script, just not to be intimidated by those questions, right? Or be looking for answers for too long, because let's face it, you're not an English speaking environment, right? You are challenged by these questions. You have to stop and think sometimes. Not everyone's just thinking on the spot and can come up with sentences that will just kind of fill in the gaps and not make you sound just like you haven't prepared for the talk. So have a script for what you're going to say. That is an important thing, and even if you look down like me here, it's important to prepare. You can have a teleprompter or not. It depends kind of where you are and what kind of options you have and tools. But it's really about respecting your colleague that you're talking to. Really, it's about respect. It's about the fact that you don't want to waste their time. You don't want to be going too much into areas that are not relevant to the question. Trust me, everyone at Apple, right? I mean, already hired, already kind of done it, but they're all using the teleprompter in their videos when they're delivering a message. That's just how it works. That's how it should work. It's important to respect your audience. Now, let's imagine your interview is over, right? You've set your test assignments and now you're waiting for to hear back. How long can it take? Well, ideally, you would have known this already because you had asked this question in the interview process, which is important to do at the very end, to ask kind of what your next steps are, what the journey may look like going further. It's going to depend on the pool of candidates in front of you, right behind you. I mean, there's a lot of people to obviously interview, right, and you have to respect that. So your time will depend on that, and your timing for the next kind of step or the answer, maybe sometimes from the very first initial interview, is going to depend on that. So for you, it's important to continue looking, right? To continue reviewing those openings and applying and doing these interviews over and over and over again without thinking about that first one, being to attach that first one. Why? Because ideally, in a perfect world, you are going to be given offerings, right? Offers from these companies all at once, right? Or you could trade and be smart about it and kind of let others know, hey, I'm waiting for an offer from a different company. We'll see how you compete. And ideally, if you are, a prepared professional with a good background, then you're going to be interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you, and you're going to let them fight for you. That is job well done. So there you have it. A second video around the topic of preparation for the interview and doing these quick interviews for the initial part, at least, being prepared for them. This is a stressful environment that you want to be ready for. So you want to train for this marathon, not just wake up, drink some coffee, and run, because you're setting yourself up for failure if you do it that way. Use me, my knowledge, my skill set. Connect with me. Let's talk about your specific context, how to get you prepared. This is kind of my real goal with all this, is that I want to be giving you this general information, but stressing the importance of the subjective kind of landscape of these videos. And yeah, the preparation, it's really, really important, because these interviews can take you into a very different journey that you have never been to before, and you may not like it if you haven't really done a good job in the first stage of having those discovery calls and having those first impressions and first interviews. In the next video, I want to talk to you guys about getting hired in the States. When you already have a offer, right? An offer from a company that you've enjoyed working with and interviewing for, and you are ready to move, that's where you're gonna need that next video with some quick tips on what to get ready for, right? What to prepare, again, yourself for in those conditions. So get ready for the next video. You have the ready, you have the set, and now the next one is going to be called Go, so that you can actually go and get what you're looking for. Talk to you guys in the next one. Thank you.